Oh, hello. Hello, you. Welcome to Geekism. I was just watching that intro and really enjoying myself. As a little behind-the-scenes look at how I put these together. I make that intro and I watch it with the music and everything before I do this voiceover. Because I'm a narcissist who enjoys his own work sometimes. How's it going? We're in Pinewood Hills. It's episode 6 or something, and it is the penultimate episode. And for those of you who don't know what penultimate means, read a book. It means the last but one. It means the next episode is the last episode, basically. So, okay, we got a lot to talk about. First of all, on the screen, you are seeing the beginnings of the Rapids ride sort of getting boxed in. We are not completely custom curbing this ride. I spent a little bit of time tweaking the terrain around the track for the most part. There is elements of custom curbing just to kind of fill it out where there is areas that would need it, such as the water filtration at the top and bottom of each lift hill. Anyway, you can keep watching that while we talk, because there's going to be some of you that are crying, of course, because Pinewood is ending. We're done. That's all it is, really. We're done. There is still a bit to do. The problem is the stuff that we still have to do is all of the snagging. I know I keep saying snagging, but it's all of the snagging stuff. It is some curbing, some foliage, mostly foliage really, foliage and rock work around the back of this Rapids ride here, and foliage around the outside of the park, around the edges of the park area, the parking lot, the campsite needs a little bit of foliage around the back of it, and we need to do a little bit of work tying in Minerals Manor with foliage as well to the back of this. So it's mostly that kind of stuff, and placing down curbs and rocks and trees does not good YouTube content make. Saying that it doesn't make good pre-recorded YouTube content, which is the sort of stuff that you're seeing here in an episode. It does, however, make really great live stream content. So that's what's going to happen with Pinewood. We are going to be moving to a short season of snagging live streams where we just come in and fill in all of the gaps. We're going to do some curbing, we're going to do some terrain work, we're going to do some planting, and we're going to go back and remake the posters that we lost in the great move to Canada. So all of the poster screens that we can't see now, we're going to go back and remake those in Photoshop and import them all, and a lighting pass as well. There's a lot of areas that need lighting. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to move it into a live stream, and then once those live streams are done, probably in about a month, I imagine we're going to need about a month's worth of live streams in there. There will be a big final episode of Pinewood where we go over the whole thing, take a look at it, do some lovely cinematics, and sort of reminisce basically on the season. So that is the plan. All right, so Pinewood is going to get wrapped up pretty soon. There is more to come though from Planet Coaster on the channel, but I'm going to do the YouTube thing and make you keep watching to find out what that is. Mwahaha, algorithm be damned. Okay, theming then on the River Rapids. Wants to keep it relatively light theming. Obviously, Pinewood is still a relatively realistic, implied realism is the term we use. It is an implied realistic park based in the UK. They do have some themed areas though, and in fact, the Alton Towers River Rapids has a Jeep just sort of on a mound, and that's the theming. So that's kind of what we've got here, basically. It's I just wanted to copy it. In fact, this is even jankier than the Alton Towers one, because this is just sort of sat on a concrete pad, whereas the other one is sort of edged into some dirt and rock work and what have you. So we're keeping the theming light. Basically, look, here's a truck, and later on there's going to be a water feature that we add in as well. I asked for some feedback on what to do with this big thing here. Do we rock work it in? Do we turn it into a waterfall or whatever? And a couple of people suggested that we just sort of paint the sign on, and that's what we're doing. So obviously we can't paint, but we use some temple pieces here to kind of give the impression of the painted word, and we just add Katanga to it. And I think it looks great. It does exactly what I needed to do, which was slightly break it up. Having done this, I did spend a little bit of time checking the sight lines of it, and also to see what the draw distance was on this shape. It turns out you can't see this from anywhere in the park, because of how the backstage works. To the side of the stage there, I did look at putting mining company as well. I think I'd get rid of that. I'm pretty sure I'd just leave Katanga in the end. But yeah, I look all around and you just can't see it. It's the only place you're actually going to see that is if you're on the ride. I did toy about changing that for a moment and moving Mass Bandit's photo booth. I say Mass Bandit, but a photo booth we named Mass Bandits. It wasn't one of his. I did toy with moving that and adding like a little restaurant, but I was like, no, do you know what? We're done. We need to finish, because otherwise we're just going to be here forever. And, you know, we need to move on to bigger and better things. Talking of which, Planet Coaster 2, at time of recording, had its sort of first deep dive yesterday. So that was good fun. I put a video out on the channel going over it. I'd love you to go and watch that. I had a lot of fun editing that. It's really good. Those short videos where we just sort of take a look at news. I can be a bit more dumb with them and do some like stupid edits and, you know, like YouTuber-y edits and stuff. I feel with these time-lapse videos, I kind of have to sit into it and get into the groove and talk about what I'm doing, and I think breaking away for dumb jokes and stuff isn't really what you're looking for here. In these kind of videos, I feel, you know, you want to watch and see what I'm building and what parts I'm using and all that sort of stuff. So, but it is quite fun with those sort of update videos to just be a bit more dumb and have some fun with it. So I would love to go over and watch that and see what you think. They showed off a new pathing system that is incredible. It really is. It's amazing. There's still a lot to see with Planet Coaster 2, but everything I do see, I continue to be excited, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be really exciting. No dates on them at the moment regarding like release or demos or anything like that. Although they are going to be at Gamescom, which I think is in Germany. I don't know. It's in Europe, so I didn't really think about it much, but if you're in Europe, you can go to Gamescom and play the game, which is very exciting. You're going to be able to play the build that they showed off the other day, so it's like a single scenario with half a dozen rides or so, but you get to play with all the cool new features. It's very exciting stuff, and obviously any more news we'll be covering it here on the channel, so don't worry about that. I am happy to sacrifice my soul to the algorithm gods and give you news videos when stuff comes out, because, you know, I don't know, you're here because you enjoy what I have to say, I guess, right? So let's talk about it and have fun. So it's all good. So yes, I completely talked over the entirety of placing that water feature down. It is an absolute 100% balls to the wall rip-off from No Name Landia, which was the Bro Coaster park. They did it much better. I wanted a feature and I just couldn't think what to do, and I'd recently been rewatching Bro Coaster as along with loads of other awesome content, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to steal that and put it down and do a slightly more budget version of it. I talked about this a lot before, I think, but budget kind of gets away from you. Even if you're really leaning into it, budget gets away from you in these things because you just want to put down the fun pieces. I mean, if you look at something like Conifer Slopes, that Masters, I didn't mean to scoff as I said Conifer Slopes then, but if you, I'm sure he would scoff himself. If you look at Conifer Slopes recently, Masters kind of just been like, you know what, forget it. Yes, there's a budget. Yes, I'm still trying to build with the realism in mind, but yeah, I'm going to put down all the cool fancy pieces. I want to have fun with the game, and I feel like I'm trying to hold back a little bit with Pinewood, but I'm starting to get to that point as well, and I'm just like, yeah, look at all this cool stuff that I never got to do because I really limited myself in the budget of the game, and that is the main reason why Meanderville, which is the plan for my Planet Coaster 2 projects, is not a budget park. It will have a budget. It will consider realism as we build, but if I want something glowing or flashing or spinning, I'm not going to consider that it wouldn't be something they do. Yeah, it's going to happen. We're going to do some cool stuff in that park, and I can't wait. Saying that, I always want to make sure when I talk about this, I don't resent Pinewood at all. I have had an absolute incredible number of years building in this, and the budget has been an incredibly fun project, problem to solve a lot of the time. But I feel like sometimes, you know what, it's okay that I've maybe leaned into it a little bit more and spent a bit more money in certain areas. Here, to be honest with you, I don't think this is that bad. I think this looks like something that a mid-level park in the UK could do. It's just rock work and a handful of bits of scenery, even to the point where I was going to completely plant this area and heavily plant it, and I was like, no, do you know what? Just concrete with some planters on it. would be so much better. So what you're seeing here is, I think, a very budget way of doing a temple theme, and that's kind of what I was going for there. So I hope that comes across. There, we're putting this back in. It's only a short video, short part of the video of this, but we're putting the car park ride back in. I had to stop myself saying parking lot. I'm absolutely 100% assimilated into North America, but Pinewood is in Britain, and this is a car park, not a parking lot. The reason I'm so adamant about that, one of the things I did, it's not, there's no footage of it, but I went around and named all of the rides. And when I say named all of the rides, some of the bigger rides, I haven't done that, but I did go around and name all of the rides that were like all the flat rides and stuff that were already named, most likely in our heads, or at least like with signage outside the front of them, but the game still had a lot of them called like Spinner 3 or whatever. So I went around and named them all, and like for sake of clarity, I named this car park transport, not parking lot transport, and I had a little argument with myself about what to call it. So we put it in. It wasn't quite right. Obviously, it wasn't quite the same. So we do need to spend a little bit of time figuring out both of these stations. The queues aren't quite where they need to be, but just whatever, man. Like 6 people are going to walk out here and ride this thing. It's purely so that we have a little bit of movement in the parking lot as we look around the park, and that's all that this is really for. We need to finish off capping the queues in a little bit there. That I just could not get rid of the railings. So I can get rid of the railings, but not the little curb bits there. So kind of need to come and box that in, probably with a planter or something. But otherwise, I'm happy enough with it. It does what it needs to do, and they run around, and it looks like they're picking people up. Probably need to come and put some cars on these lots as well. Again, live stream jobby. We'll take 20 cars and recolor them all and lay them out and spend a bit of time filling them in. That's very much the sort of thing we're going to be able to do on a live stream while we chat. Talking to live streams, I will plug them every Saturday Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that is, I have no idea what time that is everywhere else. It's like 3 in England. I know that much because I speak to my mom a lot, so I have to know that. But the rest of the world, I've got no idea. I'm sorry. But 10 a.m. Eastern, which is the time that I'm on, we stream usually for about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours if we're really into a groove. And I do that before I go to work for the day. So it's good fun. We have a lot of fun. We chat. We talk about the new stuff. So we'll be talking this week about all the Planet Coaster 2 stuff, and then we fill in gaps and box things off in Pinewood. We actually did an Azuri stream this week, just because I'd kind of done half of this video, but not the other half. So I didn't want to sort of always have to angle the camera away from certain bits. It's never fun. That here I'm filling out a font there. I don't show the whole thing, but this is a Theme Maker's Toolkit font, and it's very good. And I'd already got like 7 of the letters randomly, but so I just went back and filled the rest of them out. It's the Planet Coaster font, and I thought this was a nice little nod to font heads. I'm a bit of a font head. I'm a bit obsessed with font. I'm a bit obsessed with typeface. The Planet Coaster font is called Eagle Book. And I thought it was awesome to use it here with the Flying Eagle ride. We call it Eagle Soar, just to kind of put our own little thing on it. And yeah, I just thought that was a nice little thing. Using Eagle Book on the Eagle ride. I don't know. That's the sort of thing that makes my geeky head wobble nicely. There's a huge chalkboard sign. I just randomly started looking at all the Theme Maker's Toolkit stuff I opened. I'm sorry. I actually cut a lot of that out. I was going through and looking at all the random stuff. That spinning tube there, that's going to go into the haunted house at some point. We were trying to fake that with moving parts, and somebody's just made it Theme Maker's Toolkit, so we'll use that instead. Another ride name here then, Aztec Spinner. Not all of the rides in the park are going to have signage like this, especially in some of the older areas. It's just going to be that there's a ride there and you can get on it, especially a lot of like the sort of spinny flats. They're just spinny flats. But this area, I did want it to look a little bit master planned, and I did want it to look slightly higher budget. I still feel like it's pretty low budget, really. It's just a couple of flat rides placed down with a little bit of light foliage around it, but I kind of like the idea that they'd spent more money on the sign here than they had the rest of the ride. The ride is literally just a flat plunk down, and the coaster itself is also an off-the-shelf model, and because of that, I kind of feel like they would have a little bit more of the budget to spend on trying to sort of fancy those off-the-shelf models up a little bit. So rather than spending loads of money on research and development to have custom things, they take off-the-shelf stuff and just sort of tart them up with some nice signage and some nice foliage, and that kind of seemed like the sort of thing that they would do, I guess. Alright, we're going to finish up then with a couple of closer looks at these signs and a few other bits and bobs. First of all, Eagle Saw is there. Is it a little weird that the sign is over the exit? Yes, maybe, but I don't know, it just seems right that the sign is here as you come into the area. I'm already stuck on something, jeez. Anyway, Eagle Saw is there, and then the entrance area is here as well. There's an awesome TMTK piece here that I've just stopped the animation on. I think it looks like a good cheap bit of fiberglass. Love the look of this ride. Didn't enjoy riding this. Rode one at Canada's Wonderland. I wasn't a huge fan. Next up then, Aztec Spinner is here and in place, looking nice. Nice sort of view there as we go up the SLC. Beautiful. And here's one that I didn't put on camera today, but Anchors Away, our budget pirate ship, I guess, now has a sign as well. I can't take real credit for this one. I completely stole this from Dutchy over on Bronation, who had done something very similar in an awesome pirate area he was working on, and I was like, oh, that's great, I'm stealing it. The only thing I did do was add the signs into it. His was just like a scenery piece, and I was like, I bet the really small western sign will fit into that and look great, and yeah, I think it looks awesome. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. And Katanga River Rapids also has a sign, which means the only one that doesn't now is Vekoma SLC, and the reason it doesn't is because it doesn't have a name. We can't make it a sign without making a name. So if you'd like to throw your suggestion in for the name of this SLC and you are a Patreon, you can do so over there right now. Patreon.com/geekism. There will be a post looking for name suggestions. Patreon is a great way of supporting the channel. It means I don't have to do dodgy ad reads. It's a great way to directly support my work, and we're still sort of figuring out what our little perks could be, but one of them is naming the rides, just like we did with the Vekoma Boomerang a couple of weeks ago. So big thanks to Patreon Patrick, who suggested Aces, so we now have a ride for the Boomerang. Just love this suggestion. I felt like it was a perfect encapsulation of the 80s kind of Top Gun era when this thing was built. So it got a custom sign with a bit of an 80s font and colour scheme, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And that's pretty much all I've got to show you. I went around and renamed a lot of the flat rides just to actually have them the names we'd already given them. So a lot of the stuff we'd already named with signs but never actually gone in and called them that name in the game. So I went around and did that. And yeah, we're just looking for a name for that Vekoma SLC, but otherwise, I mean, it's just so much little busy work now. There's just not enough here for an episode, not enough interesting stuff here for an episode. So join me in the next few live streams when we cap all of this off, and then there will be one more episode where we basically go through, ride some of the rides, and just have a little wander around and cap off this this awesome project that's been so much fun to be working on recently, but for the most part over the last good few years now. Don't worry about no Planko being on the channel, though. We do still have Azuri Gardens, which is mine and Mass Bandit's joint park, where we're building a Busch Gardens / Islands of Adventure kind of zoo / theme park. It was way before Planet Zoo was even announced, so it uses TMTK animals, and it's a lot of fun. But obviously, Mass has that sometimes. He's currently got it right now as I record this, so we are going to have to find something else to do, and because of that, there is going to be a new Planko project on the channel as we approach the launch of Planet Coaster 2. It's going to be a small project, both in scale and in size, and it's going to be purely there to tie us over until Planet Coaster 2 is playable. So join me on the channel in a few days for episode 1. It's already done. Episode 1 of a new mini, literally, Planet Coaster Park. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like. It really does help out the channel. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Until the next one, love you all to bits. Be good.